and not necessarily those of the station or its management.
It was another quiet night at the office. No phone calls, no messages, nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore, a professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show right here on AM 830 WCRN every Monday and Friday at 1 o'clock. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Don't forget Jerry Doherty's Political Thursday on Thursday mornings at 10, and Sunday mornings for that Sunday morning talk block. I kick it off at 6, microwave at 7, Peter Blue at 9 o'clock. You can join the conversation over the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. And a text line is 617-297-8388, or email textjoe on the radio at gmail.com. It appears on the same screen in real time. Hey, folks, I am streaming the show from the Cameo studios. The Cameo cam is on, and so you can go to my social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Joe Mangi, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. My YouTube channel, my LinkedIn page, and Twitch TV at Joe M Show. Today is Find the Board back at HQ, and everything works the same, folks. You dial the same number, and you get connected, and that's how we're going to do it. So we've got a few things to go over in the next hour, and of course, your participation is welcome as well. And I got to tell you something. The one thing about this administration, I think that everybody can agree on, is just how tone deaf it is. How out of touch it is. Joe Biden is not really tuned into the kitchen table stuff. I know that they like to say that and so forth, but he has spent more time at his Rehoboth Beach home than at the White House. And I'm the first guy in this business to say, I don't want to hear about that. Oh, Trump this and Obama in Hawaii. The president is never not the president for 4 years. Or for the length of the term, right? It follows them wherever they go. I get that. Sometimes the optics are a little bit out of whack and out of skew. They just ram this incredibly hurtful and damaging bill through. You know, the one they played the games. It was called one thing, and then they changed it to, hey, since inflation's so bad, we'll just call it the Inflation Deficit Act. Although nothing, it wasn't written for that. There's nothing in it that will address it. They admit that it's not going to do anything. And all along, it was really a version of the Green New Deal. And it's the largest climate bill that was jammed through. But he's not out there toting it. And we see this trend for Democratic candidates across the country who are either totally leaving the reference to Joe Biden out of their campaigns, or some of them are actively distancing themselves. And it seems that every time they're going to go outside of D.C. or Rehoboth Beach, every Democrat candidate has a scheduling conflict. So they're real distancing themselves. But the out-of-touchness part of this, right? We see it in Pete Buttigieg, right? He takes this very important job at a crucial time where the supply chains are messed up. And we have the pandemic, result of the pandemic shutdown, and tankers off the coast, and transportation's an issue, and gas going out, and he takes this long maternity leave. He finally shows up, and when he shows up, he's clueless. Remember, he's the guy that got caught, right, posting him riding the bike to his DC office, but somebody else caught him in the gas guzzling SUVs and security detail being driven to like a block away, then taking the bike out of the back of the SUV, getting on it, and then they, right, filmed him, or, did the videotape, or I still say tape. That's my age, but you know what I mean. They did the Instagram or the social media posts of him riding the bike. And it all show out of touch. And now Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm, who has on multiple occasions, all right, showed how
call her Mark
she is, how out of touch that she is with the American people. and she was on Fox over the weekend, and she's saying, hey, don't worry about it. You can get these discounts, right? She totally out of touch with what the cost is and what the average American family can afford and is faced with. But this is, we hear the administration people telling us, go out and just buy an electric car. Just go buy an electric car, 60, 70 grand. Then you got sales tax, excise tax. You got to, have somebody alter the 220 charge at your house. And we don't have enough charging stations. Oh, and we got to rape the earth of minerals and to dig into it and get the lithium and the cobalt. And then these batteries are toxic. They don't talk about all that. But she says if you just want heat pumps, insulation, new windows, that's covered, right? If you're a moderate income today, you can get 30% off the price of solar panels. Solar panels can be financed, so you don't have to have that big outlay out front. She doesn't get it. Most Americans are paycheck to paycheck. So she was on Sunday Show Fox. Here she is.
Well, number one, for your home, yes, there are significant incentives in this bill, which is great, to reduce people's energy costs on a monthly basis. So if you are low income, you can get your home entirely weatherized through the expansion from the bipartisan infrastructure law, a significant expansion. You don't have to pay for anything. If you want heat pumps, insulation, new windows, that is covered. If you are moderate income, today you can get 30% off the price of solar panels. Those solar panels can be financed, so you don't have to have the big outlay at the front. And when they're financed in a way that reduces your energy bill, even though you have solar panels. With this 30% off, it's a significant incentive. Same thing with if you don't qualify for the weatherization program, you will be able to, starting next year, get rebates on the appliances and equipment that will help you reduce your monthly energy bill by up to 30%. This is all about.
Okay. She just goes on and on about this, right? In everything, the common factor here, folks, is everything she's talking about requires a massive cash outlay, or, as she points out, hey, no problem, finance it. So you're going to take a $150, $200, maybe $300 payment on top of the car payment, the mortgage payment, the kids' expenses, the food bill, the heating bill, like absolutely clueless, tone deaf, and they just don't get it. Their answer to everything is you go spend a lot of money. It's like the jokes that they always make about the husband and wife, and the wife says, honey, you don't understand how much money I saved because this was on sale. Right? So the wife goes out and she spends, thousands of dollars shopping so that she can get 30 and 40% discounts. People don't have that money to lay out, whether it's the cash up front or the financing of it, folks. Absolutely tone deaf. Here's the answer. Get the price of fossil fuels back down to where it works for the average American family, where it works for business. It will stop inflation, or at least put a huge dent in inflation, and get us back on the track of energy independent. We were that country when this administration took over. They undid it through their policies. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let me go to Mark in Worcester, who's waiting patiently. Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. Mark, what say you?
What I say is Dr. Fauci just announced that he's going to be retiring before the end of the year, which means that inside baseball, which he knows what's going to happen in the U.S. Congress come the midterm elections, and he's getting out of Dodge while the getting's good.
You got it. Yeah, absolutely. That's actually...
Have a good one. Have a good one, brother. Bye-bye.
That's absolutely. It's on my notes in front of me. Dr. Fauci is stepping down in December, right? So notice the timing on that, folks, because we're going to have the midterms, and now there's a lot of talk among the alphabet networks and the MSNBCs and CNNs of the world and so forth that, it's not going to be as big of a wave as you think it is, because here are the seats, and the Republicans don't have it now. The generic Republican versus Democrat, they're actually choosing that over that. Well, and they're putting Joe Biden back in the basement more often, because that's the only time he seems to have any click up in approval. Like his approval rate went up a point or two or something, because at 40% and some, still in the high 30s at others. So regardless of the fact, I think Dr. Fauci is hedging the bets here, and he's figuring that there would still be a significant Republican presence enough to take over the House. Senate's up in the air, and he's figuring he's going to have to face all kinds of hearings and inquiries. Not that he won't have to face them if he steps down, but it's a little different. So, he was the face of America's response here, right? He served under 7 presidents, right? National Institute for Health. He took his position there under the Ronald Reagan administration. 7 presidencies. And most of that was quietly in the background, folks, right? He says, while I'm moving on from my current positions, I'm not retiring, the infectious disease expert said in a statement released by the National Institute of Health. After more than 60 years of government service, I plan to pursue the next phase of my career while I still have so much energy and passion for my field. Yeah, I bet he does. He's made a fortune in his field, right? He will not, or has not, answered those questions dealing with, patents and how much he's get paid and the money that's moving around. But under a congressional subpoena, which people like Jim Jordan can't wait to get the chairmanship of the Judiciary Committee, where he will have subpoena powers, where he can, like the Democrats have done, pull people in under subpoena, and they need to answer questions under oath, under the pains and penalties of perjury. And then he can answer their questions then. So retiring doesn't exempt him from being subpoenaed down the road, folks. It just puts him less in the government employ. I mean, he's what, $500,000 a year for how many years? He makes more than the president of the United States. So Fauci is retiring in December. All right, folks. We got a lot more to talk about. You can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000 for the next hour, or I should say 45 minutes. On Monday and Fridays at 1, Tuesdays at 10, and Sunday mornings at 6 a.m. The Joe Mangiacotti Show. Stick with us. We'll be back on the other side, and we'll continue with your calls and the news of the day, folks. Actually, I guess, are we
Girton Graphics, offering a full line of apparel, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, golf shirts, caps, jackets, and other wearables to be screen printed with your organization's message, always at low wholesale prices. Girton Graphics also offers over 500,000 promotional items that can be customized to fit your needs. Working with Girton Graphics is always economical and hassle-free. You can design your own custom t-shirt online at GirtonGraphics.com. Choose your own logo. The art department will help you with your next custom t-shirt project. It's great for your school, university, your business group. Girton Graphics, downtown Worcester, home of the $5 custom printed t-shirt. Visit us on the web at GirtonGraphics.com or stop by our location on Southbridge Street right next to Coney Island. Girton Graphics' expert design team is ready to serve your business's needs. Girton Graphics, still the one making businesses happy for over 40 years.
Shining Rock Golf Club of Northbridge is a shining example of excellence in golf. Shining Rock Golf Club's highest priority is your golf experience, and their award-winning 18-hole luxury and challenging golf course will deliver. And for shining moments and memorable events, the Shining Rock Golf Club of Northbridge delivers again. Plan your next tournament, fundraiser, or corporate event at Shining Rock Golf Club. Events and budgets of all sizes are welcome. Shining Rock Golf Club Pro Shop, Driving Range, and Bar and Grill are fully open for the season. For the very best in golf, with friendly, experienced service, visit Shining Rock Golf Club of Northbridge, a shining example of excellence in golf. Call 508-234-0400. That's 508-234-0400. On the web at shiningrock.com. Shining Rock Golf Club of Northbridge.
show, Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks. Welcome back for the second segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN 508-871-7000. To join the conversation, 508-871-7000. Get you into the studio for two-way talking and conversation. Hey, don't forget that we stream the show on my social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Joe Mangi, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. And that's how you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, my YouTube channel under the same name, LinkedIn under my name, and then Twitch TV, Joe on TV. So feel free to listen, but also peek into the studio. No big TV production, folks. It's just simply a camera in the studios, both H quarters and Cameo as well. Well, the federal magistrate judge, the guy down there in Florida, the one who approved that search of President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, the compound, well, he's lowering expectations about how much, if any, of the search warrant affidavit he'll ultimately release because of the motions from the media, several media organizations that are seeking that disclosure, of course. And Judge Bruce Reinhardt, in a written order today, noted that intense public and historical interest in the unprecedented search of a former president's residence. So, look, it's been said right from moment one on this unprecedented. This is the most unprecedented. And it is. It's never happened before. Nobody ever thought something like this would happen, that anybody would do this. I mean, just the optics alone. Think about how other nations, right? We had one of the presidents of the Southern Nation. I can't remember which one, whether it was El Salvador, maybe. He made a good point. He said, if we did that in this country, if the incumbent party went and searched and had warrants against the former president and possible leading contender in the next race, America would label us a banana republic in an instant. Although I think a lot of us have been labeling ourselves banana republic watching this go down. So it does have this intense public interest, historical interest in it. So some of the documents related to the search warrant have already been released, showing that a number of the classified documents have been found at Mar-a-Lago. And again, I always have to go back and look, if there's something that's blatantly he shouldn't have, you got to remember this is also the guy, as virtue of the office he held, can declassify things. Can't declassify them now, but he could have declassified them off the door if there's a process for that. But okay, but he still has top secret clearance. He still has a stiff. They're still under secure lock, and you've got the United States Secret Service guarding the compound. But the equal application of law is not quite even-handed here, is it? Because we have a former Secretary of State with tens of thousands of emails that were unsecured. A server, not a government server, a private server. And didn't even use the official government email address. And now we know that that server was hacked by multiple foreign entities, that some hostile to the United States of America. So they say Trump wasn't supposed to possess any presidential records, which is supposed to be under the control of, again, the National Archives. And the search warrant affidavit would reveal more of the justification of the search warrant and some of the evidence that the government presented to the judge. And I think that's a lot of what we wanted to know, is what is it that was said to the judge? What was the argument? What was the affidavits? What was the thought process here that we need to do this unprecedented, 30-plus agents, 9.5 hours, and this doesn't seem to get a lot of attention, but for some reason I'm hung up on this, and it really bothers me that the warrant lists from the day he took office to the last day of his presidency. That's crazy, guys. Look, that is a fishing expedition. Warrants, by the nature of what a warrant is supposed to be narrow in scope. specific to what you're looking for. And then you have the affidavits, which are either tips or testimony or surveillance tapes, and whether video or audio. You're supposed to have something that leads the investigators or the prosecutors to the conclusion that evidence that they need, that they should be in possession of, is somewhere specific, which is why warrants typically outline where you're allowed to search and what you are looking for. When you accept the warrant and sign off on a warrant that's basically every day of his presidency, that's just casting a wide net over everything. And then we get into the going over every inch of the compound, right? Every room, every office, not just the president's office. And when you get to the thing about what are they doing in the bedroom, I was going to say bedchamber. What is this, 14th century? The bedroom or the master suite or whatever of Melania and Donald Trump, and then going into her wardrobe or closet. How could that possibly be germane to what they're looking for? How could that be something on the warrant? I'm guessing that nowhere on the warrant did they say we need to go through Melania's clothes. So they just took it upon themselves to check it out. So he goes on to write, having carefully reviewed the affidavit before signing the warrant, I was and am satisfied that the facts sworn by the affidavit are reliable. So he's convinced. But we got to remember, too, this is a biased judge, right? But this is the formula, right? The Trump formula. Accuse him of all kinds of things that usually somebody on the Democratic Party is doing. Throw as much as you can against the wall to see what sticks. Investigate, even prosecute, right? 2 impeachments led nowhere. January 6th hearings, a farce. It wasn't even-handed. They carefully selected what was talked about or told there. And then a lot of what came out in the January 6th hearing, guys, I mean, this whole story about Trump diving and grabbing the wheel and punching Secret Service guys. Did you see him talk about that? The guy is funny. He says, I watched this, and he says, I didn't know whether to be, impressed and think, well, wow, I'm strong. Look at this. He goes, I know these guys. They're strong guys. But I apparently, chokehold one and punched another and wrestled the wheel. And it all fell apart. Then none of that happened. And they weren't even in the vehicle that the witness said they were in. She said the Beast. They weren't in the Beast that day. They were in the SUV. So even that, and there was no other side to this. It was very selective, right? So they've done this. This is the formula. He is the most vetted president, certainly in my lifetime, and probably in the history of presidents. I mean, can somebody name me another president who's been as vetted? Because not only, was every rock turned over during the campaign, but it never stopped. Even if they are tough campaigns, right? And they are. You're running for the most powerful political position on the planet. Your opponents are going to do a lot of oppo research. Now, oppo research, not what Hillary did. Hillary hired people to create lies, phony narratives, right? Created phony documents and altered documents and lied to the FISA judges. That's not oppo research at all. And then the spying is criminal, and nobody's answered for that. I've talked about this before because we found out, after the fact, right, with the FISA warrants, that they not only was it candidate Trump, President-elect Trump, President Trump, but see, they were also spying on the office of the presidency. And I've said this before, folks. I don't care who's in the office. The presidency is bigger than any man or woman who holds it. And the fact that somebody was monitoring the digital traffic into the office of the presidency, somebody needs to go to jail for that. But because it's Donald Trump. All bets are off. Everything's okay because he's Hitler incarnate. And as long as he's that bad and evil, you can do anything. Problem is, he's not Hitler. He's not that evil. He's not this person that they wanted to make out to be. He was an extremely effective president. And I know you didn't like the mean tweets, and you don't like the attitude, but you really have to drill down to the coverage of it. So here we got Reinhardt's written order on Monday, followed the hearing last week, right, in which he gave the government until Thursday to propose the redactions. If the search warrant affidavit were to go public, according to the judge, he said that he agreed with the government that releasing the affidavit would provide a roadmap to the investigation, could chill cooperation from future witnesses, and could endanger investigators. Endanger investigators. Do they think that Trump is going to endanger anybody, or are they saying that unhinged supporters, enthusiastic supporters, might take things into their own hands? Because we wouldn't want to ever see that happen. It's not like BLM and Antifa have been so self-controlled. But the point is, we continue to write, as the government aptly noted at the hearing, these concerns are not hypothetical in this case. He says that there have been threats against the FBI personnel since the search. Now, the FBI has been doing a pretty good job on their own of impugning their integrity and their reputation, from the phony abduction of a governor to not keeping Olympians safe, to the Russian collusion investigation, Comey's constant bending and breaking of the law. And of course, here in Massachusetts, we got a dose of what the FBI is really capable, if you want to go back to the Billy Bulger days and so forth. So we'll see what comes. So Thursday's the day after the public released an unprecedented copy of the search. FBI agents involved in the investigation were threatened and harassed. Again, they've done a good job of making themselves a joke. All right, we're going to take a break at halfway through the Monday edition here of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830, WCRN. 508-871-7000 is how you join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Jason Brewer. Here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. We finally have some beneficial rain in the forecast. Low to mid 70s today, off and on rain right into the evening. Areas of fog tonight with some spotty showers, lows in the upper 60s.
Caller Ken.
And tomorrow it's staying unsettled. There'll be some scattered showers and storms, especially in the afternoon. Highs in the lower 80s. I'm Jason Brewer. You can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
Dr. Satya Mitra has journeyed from a childhood of poverty and homelessness to a successful career as a financial advisor, motivational speaker, and community leader. Now inspired by his guru, he uses his experiences to positively affect the lives of underprivileged people. We strive to house our blindness, poverty, homelessness, female empowerment, and good citizenship initiatives within the Joy Guru Humanitarian Center. If you wish to contribute or know of deserving persons or initiatives that could use our assistance, please contact us at 508-641-8441.
Did you know by age 35, most people start to notice the effects of declining hormone levels? Symptoms include lack of energy, less focus, decreased sex drive, weight gain, and poor quality sleep. Twist 25 DHEA cream helps men and women 35 and up to maintain vitality, youthful vigor, enhanced mood and focus, and a better night's sleep. As a base building block for hormones, DHEA gives the body a key foundation it uses to make hormones. Visit twist25.com to learn more or call 888-489-4782. 888-4-TWIST-25.
Ryan Maloney informs and entertains about everyone's favorite subject, It's the Liquor Talking every Saturday morning at 11 on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to Joe.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the Monday edition Joe Mangiacotti Show. Don't forget, we're live streaming on my social media platforms at Joe Mangi, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. Check it out. You can listen and watch on those platforms as well as YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and Twitch TV. And our email to reach out to the show, if you have articles or links you want me to see, it's just simple, joemshow@gmail.com. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. Let me jump to the phones. Ken and Bolton. Good afternoon, Ken. What say you?
Not much, Joe, but the continuing story of Mar-a-Lago. And, you keep picking up information. And, the morning after the raid, I called it, as far as what the Department of Justice, they're a bunch of corrupt screw-ups. And I don't think any differently now than I did then. And the evidence just keeps mounting. And it makes you wonder, A, why do they think they're going to get away with it? And B, how did we get here? Because let's just go back 25 years ago when Bill Clinton had his share of scandals to the point where he was impeached. And we're old enough to remember that there were even people like Chris Matthews that actually did their job. In fact, I think he built up a TV following on MSNBC with his show, literally digging up the dirt on Bill Clinton. And yet, he's not any longer with us, but he was far from where he started back then. And those in his tribe are even far worse than he became. Just, so if you're in the Department of Justice, like, okay, you pull these stunts. And they literally have been describing the last few days, well, we thought if we didn't do it like we normally would, nobody would notice. And Trump wouldn't complain. It's like, how dumb can you be? And so now you have the Trump lawyers, Fourth Amendment, yep, no doubt about it. So I think the DOJ is just trying desperately not to talk about it and counting on the media not talking about it.
Yeah, well, that's definitely, I think, part of the plan here. And to your question, how do they think that they're going to get away with it? The answer is simple, because they always have. They just always have. Look at the guy who orchestrated the phony kidnapping on Whitaker is promoted to the D.C. office and part of the Mar-a-Lago raid. Nobody's in, like, one attorney somewhere. I mean, they lost their law license, but just got it back. Nobody's really done any real time, or they'll sacrifice somebody, for some minor thing, but nobody who is actually planning and overtly falsifying documents, lying to the court. Comey admitted on national TV the things he did. Fishing and throwing the agents over there, well, they're all confused, knowing damn well that's not how they do things. Violating Roger Stone's right to having a lawyer there, like all this. They just did this. And then he said he leaked. He gave the papers to his former professor because he knew that would get it to the media. I mean, nobody has had to pay for anything. So why do they think they'll get away with it? Because they always have. And the fact that, as I said right before the break, right, they spied on the office of the presidency. Take Trump out of the equation. I don't care who's sitting there. The fact that you have monitoring into the emails and the digital footprint of the office of the presidency is absolutely mind-boggling. And nobody has gone to jail for any of this or even been charged with any of this. And then they wonder why America's confidence in the justice system, in the legal system, is so low, and why we understand and we believe there seriously are two lines of justice here. That she's not blind. She's peeking out under that blindfold, ladies and gentlemen. She wants to see whether that's a Democrat or a Republican in that scale of justice she's on. So that's why they do it. That's why.
But for the most part, Joe, it's the Democrat versus Republican. I think it is more insider swamp monsters, which are mostly Democrats, versus we the people. That's where this tug of war is going on, because part of the reason why it keeps going is there are swamp monster Republicans too, Joe. And increasingly it looks like Mitch McConnell, boy, the show he put in, what he did last week, and for that matter, what former Vice President Pence did. Did you follow what he did going to New Hampshire?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I saw bits of his speech, but I don't know what you're referencing.
Well,
I mean, he said,
I
saw the part where he said, hey, don't defund the FBI. That's as stupid as defunding police. I saw that clip, but I don't know. What are you referencing there?
Yeah, I think you're referring to the same event, but basically he was admonishing the critics of the Department of Justice. And this was the day after Cheney had just been defeated by 37%. It was like he was picking up her mantle where she's leaving off. And I'm hearing this from him and saying, hey, bud, you just slit your political future, your throat in it going forward. You're nuts. You're not hearing the people at all. It's one thing if you say, hey, in normal times, we should definitely support our police and our Department of Justice. You've got to at least acknowledge how bad and the things that they're doing are bad, or you're almost on the other side, bud.
Okay, yeah, I see.
I think it's sad.
Well, the problem here, right, and this is the thing. It is, folks, it's not, I mean, there are tens of thousands of FBI agents, and the majority of them have joined the FBI for all of the right reasons, and they want to do good. As a matter of fact, Jim Jordan has said that there's been 14 whistleblowers have come forward from the FBI to his office to say this stuff is going on. Look, this is how they're talking about it. This is the documents. And Jim Jordan, in the party in the minority, is like, thank you for coming forward. We appreciate that, but I have no power here. And that, to me, also, just as a, put a pin in that for a second, look at that. That's a problem that the party out of power, as they say, is out of power to that degree that they can't call. They don't have the ability, right? The Democrats won't allow them to do anything. Normally it would be your colleague would say, we need to do this. And even though they're on the other side of the aisle, they'd say, yeah, because that's what's right. That's the right thing to do. That serves the people. So regardless of my party, but those days seem to be very long gone. Now it's really raw power and the abuse of the raw power. And they can't do anything until they are the party. And that is very troublesome. That's very troublesome. As a matter of fact, right, for the first time ever, Ken, we saw Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats dictate the Republicans that were allowed to be on the January 6th hearing. That has never happened. At least the out-of-power party gets to put their own people forward. But even that was rejected, and they selected the people they knew that were just going to roll over and be anti-Trump people. It's such a joke. And when you stack this stuff, right, one on top of the other, how can you have an ounce of confidence in the legitimacy of anything they're saying against Trump or doing?
So, Joe, you and I are both ringing the bell to all the problems, okay? When we ring the bell for all the problems, we should start coming up with solutions. So I'll first start with the one that you've given. I think it's a terrific idea that whenever you have these situations where you have to get a judge's approval, you do a lottery system. And in a situation like this, you don't go to a lower level magistrate either. So I'll just kind of sort of tack that on to your great idea. But my big idea is
I had two. One is the lottery, that whatever judge, just like a doctor on call, that's the judge you have to go to.
Yep.
You can't wake a judge up at 2 a.m. because they're easy. And the other thing is when you get to a certain thing, especially something like this, raiding a president's house, it has to be a multi-panel judge, right? 3 judges. One judge gets to make that decision.
Yeah.
You got to go in front of 3 judges, and all 3 of them, just like you are in front of the Supreme Court, they all get to ask questions. They get to challenge you, and if you can make it by those 3 judges, then you get the warrant. So that's
Great.
two things: lottery
So I have
and
another
multi-judge.
solution idea too. Yeah, I have another solution idea. We should be focused on who is in the FBI. There's two entirely different types of people. And I'm just saying people. I'm including men and women, doesn't care. There's the people who are like the cops that you're familiar with on the street, the day-to-day solving a particular case. Then there are the politically deranged and, think they have all the power in the world lawyers who make up largely the seventh floor. And that's how we're really in this mess, with the corrupt lawyers in the seventh floor. So we need to petition our representatives to demand that you put a guy who's worked up from the bottom, near the bottom, for at least 25 years at the top of the FBI. We demand it, because if you don't do that, they're going to be corrupt, and we're going to just see all the things we're seeing.
So in other words, you're saying if they got the position because of political connections, then they are going to be, by nature, a political animal. And that's just
right. And I'm saying
obvious, right?
the FBI director should be someone who works from the bottom, and we should demand at least half of the people on the seventh floor be likewise.
Look, I don't know if I've told this story before, but I'll share it real quick. And it stuck with me because many years ago, when I was a very young guy, I don't forget what age I was, but my father, who was in the Marine Corps, he came out and eventually got on to Somerville Police Department and then went on to other police departments. But the point is, one of his jobs when he first got out of the Corps, he ended up being the driver in security, right? The driver for the Attorney General here in the Commonwealth. And when the AGs found out that he wanted to be a police officer, he said to him, "Oh, I didn't, that's no problem. You're in the Corps. You name the department you're on. I'll get you on it." Except for the state police, because back in those days, right, you go back to the late 50s, 60s, state police had a height requirement, which they've done away with. But the AG said, "Name the department you want, and I'll get you on it." And my father told me how he said, "I thank you, I appreciate the offer, but no thank you." And the reason he turned him down, and it always stuck with me, my father said, because if you get the job that way, you can lose the job that way. And he didn't want the political appointment. He wanted to get it going through the academy, applying and getting it all on his own without the political pull, because he wouldn't be a political favor in that job. And that's why he did it. But I got to hold you there, Ken, because we're out of time. We're going to take a break here.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for the third and final break here. Monday edition of the Joe Biden Show. So back to the fourth and final segment of the other side.
In a world as crazy as ours, isn't it nice to know there's one place you can visit for hours at a time to get a dose of reality, to find out how the other half is doing? Welcome to the radio home of Howie Carr. That's me. Visit anytime between 3 and 7 p.m. weekdays.
WCRN gets results on radio.
Hi, this is Jerry Doherty, host of Making Money Last. WCRN works for me, and it will work for you too.
WCRN gets results on radio. Call 508-870-5803, extension 222. That's 508-870-5803, extension 222. Or visit WCRNradio.com.
Do you often wonder how you're going to prepare for retirement while at the same time put the kids through college? Are you worried about supporting aging parents or about the possibility of outliving your assets? Bob Gustafson is a certified financial planner and the owner of Triton Financial Group. Their unique three-pronged approach of combining true comprehensive planning with cost-effective wealth management services has helped hundreds of people like you navigate questions like these and many others for more than 20 years. Most importantly, Triton Financial Group serves clients in a fiduciary capacity, which simply means they work for your best interest and not those of some large investment or insurance company. For more information, please call Bob at 508-480-8383 or visit TritonFinancialGroup.com. All initial consultations are always offered at no cost or obligation. And be sure to listen to the Financial Focus Wednesday mornings at 10, right here on WCRN.
Didn't you get my text?
Sorry, I was driving.
Don't text and drive.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show. You want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, welcome back for the fourth and final segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. So there, the question is, and has been, right, is Donald Trump going to run again? And pretty much I think everybody kind of knew he's going to. Then the raid on Mar-a-Lago happened, and there's this talk about, Jesus, the money started coming in. It kind of refocused a lot of attention back on Donald Trump. If you look at his endorsement record, it's over 90%. I don't know, depending on where you see or what you read, it's 92, 93, as high as 94%. Anyway, he's backing candidates.
Caller Jim.
Most of the candidates he backs, in fact, end up winning their primaries and so forth. So a lot are arguing, and that's even what some Democrats are saying. And Mitch McConnell, like it was referenced, is come out and said, hey, it might not be, we won't get the Senate, and may not be as big in the House, because the Trump candidates who have won the primaries aren't electable in the general election. And then the question has always fallen back, right, to Ron DeSantis. Because if Trump wasn't running, his numbers go really high. If you take Trump out of the equation, that is. When you put Trump back in, right, the straw poll and everything else, he seems to dominate there. Well, who is Ron DeSantis, right? Born on September 14th in 78 in Jacksonville, Florida. He has Italian descent. The family moved to Orlando before relocating to Dundon, Florida. He was about 6 years old then. In 1991, he was in the Little League Nationals, right? He went to the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Graduated Dundon High School in 97. Attended Yale University, right? So Ivy League. Then he was a captain of Yale's varsity baseball team. He joined Delta Kappa Epsilon fraternity. On the Yale baseball team, he was an outfielder. As a senior in 01, he had the team's best batting average of 336. Graduated from Yale in 01 with a BA, magna cum laude of history. He spent time, right? He then spent a year as a history teacher at the Darlington School. He attended Harvard Law School, graduated in 05 with a Juris Doctorate, again cum laude. He received his Reserve Naval Officers Commission, an assignment to the Judge Advocate General Corps, that's JAG, in 04. U.S. Naval Reserve Center in Dallas, Texas, well, a student at Harvard Law, by the way. Completed Naval Justice School in 05. Later that year, he received orders from the JAG Trial Service Command in southeast of Naval Station Mayport, Florida, as a prosecutor. 06, he was promoted from lieutenant, junior grade, to lieutenant. He worked for the commander of the Joint Task Force Guantanamo, right? Worked directly with detainees at Guantanamo Bay Joint Detention Facility. In 07, he reported to the Naval Special Warfare Command Group in Colorado, California. He was assigned to SEAL Team 1, and he deployed to Iraq with the troops surge as the legal advisor to the SEAL Commander, Special Operation Task Force, west of Fallujah. Now, he returned to the U.S. in April of 08, at which time he was reassigned to the Naval Region Southeast Legal Service. The U.S. Department of Justice appointed him to serve as an assistant U.S. attorney at the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Middle District of Florida. He was assigned as a trial defense counsel until his honorable discharge from active duty in February of 2010, and he currently accepted a reserve commission as a lieutenant commander in the Judge Advocate General's Corps of the U.S. Navy Reserve, and he was awarded the Bronze Star Medal, the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and the Iraq Campaign Medal. And he represented Florida's 6th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives from 2013 to 2016, and he's the governor of Florida now. And some would say that he is a prime presidential candidate. That's a heck of a resume, right? He's got the executive experience as a governor. He certainly has common sense and business aptitude. He's a good candidate. But how does that pan out if Donald Trump is in the race? And do you do a ticket of Trump DeSantis? I mean, two guys from Florida? Usually you're going to put your VP is going to come from, another part of the country. You're going to get that vote that you're not strong in. Donald Trump did it with Mike Pence, right? He wanted that as the Lincoln, right? He needed that church group. Kennedy went with the Texan. So two guys from Florida. But I say maybe. I mean, anything Trump's ever done isn't in tradition by any way or the way the political formula tells you to do it. It's just, and the way he handles the press, I want to listen to it for a second.
These agencies have now been weaponized to be used against people that the government doesn't like. And you look at the raid at Mar-a-Lago, and I'm trying to remember, maybe someone here can remind me about when they did a search warrant at Hillary's house in Chappaqua, when she had a rogue server and she was laundering classified information. I don't remember them doing that. I do remember them manufacturing a false conspiracy theory about Russia collusion. I remember that. That was not true. That was an abuse of power. I remember a lawyer for the FBI got caught doctoring an application for FISA surveillance against an innocent man. I remember the FBI at Merrick Garland's direction being sicked on parents going to school board meetings.
See, he came out the other day and he was saying, and this is so Trumpy, when he was given the rules that you deal with. And this is important because Republicans in general, they get to Washington, and as Ken was making reference, right, they fall into the swamp and it becomes part of that swamp. And they instantly, it doesn't matter your party affiliation, you're either in the Beltway or you're not. And DeSantis came out and he said, look, the rules of it is if you're attacked and if you're punched, you come back with more force, overwhelming force. And that's what Trump was doing. And that's one of the reasons the media couldn't stand him, right? And because no one ever challenged the media like that. Most Republicans would end up making an apology or trying to placate the media, thinking if I'm really nice to them, they'll give me better coverage. And Ron DeSantis came out and he said what Trump practiced. So we've got a lot of Trump in him, but we just don't have, with DeSantis, we don't have the Trump package and the tweets. But that's a heck of a resume, and he's already demonstrated he can run a state, and he can run a state well, and he handled the COVID situation better than probably any other governor did. There's probably just a handful of governors that really handled it the right way, and because of that, their students aren't as far behind in school as other students are in other states. Their economy isn't as devastated as it is in New York and California. 508-871-7000. Let me go to the phones. Joe has been waiting patiently on the line. Good afternoon, Joe. What say you?
Jim.
I'm sorry, Jim. Did I said, I'm sorry, Jim.
Joe, how you doing? All right. In regards to Donald Trump and the guy from Florida, I don't think the vice president and president can come from the same state. I think there's a law on that. I'm not sure.
No, I don't. There's no law. It's just they never done it, right? They would never take two people. Politically, it doesn't make sense. You'd want to cover and get support from different regions and also different strengths, right? Yeah. So look, Trump did it with Pence because he needed those particular, churchgoers, right? And Kennedy did it with LBJ. Johnson, yeah. So you've got that. There's nothing saying you can be from the same state. It's it's just.
I thought I heard someone say that. But I just want a quick thing about you and Ken talking about. I find it fascinating. You want to go with 3 judges to lottery on judges on when it doesn't go the Republican way.
No.
I wish you guys were so concerned.
Jim. It doesn't matter if it's Republican. I'm saying just that's the way it should be done. Long before Mar-a-Lago, by the way, My position on warrants has always been this. I have said that the warrants, to get a warrant, right, when a police officer or any kind of enforcement agent is wants a warrant, that they should have to go to a judge that's on duty, because I've seen them shop judges. I've seen them say, well, go wake up Judge so-and-so, right? Or Sunday morning, the judge is playing golf. Track him down at the country club, get it out there, he'll sign it. No, I think judges, it has nothing to do with party. It doesn't have to do if it went Republican or Democrat. I think that
both sides do it.
When they say, okay, get a warrant, we got to really get in and look at that guy's apartment. They call it, who's the judge on? That's the judge they got to confess. And my point is, Jim, if you don't have if your argument for a warrant can't get by any judge that gets thrown in front of you, then I don't think you should get the warrant. It should be on the merit.
Well, my
of your
concern is, I agree with you 100% there, but I wish you were so concerned when Mitch McConnell would not allow Barack Obama to put someone on the Supreme Court, and he held that up for 1 year. And you guys didn't complain. You enjoyed every minute of it. But when it goes on the other side and you don't get your way, you want to change the rules and regulations. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you, Jim. But what you just said is what we absolutely see the left do over and over again. Every time that the left can't get their legislation through, they go to the courts. Right? If they can't get it through, they start with demonstration and even riots. It's rich that you say that we want to, or that because I'm not a Republican, but that the Republicans want to change the rules. And I argue and present to you another situation of the left projecting over here, because we can look at example after example of that. Now, as far as the Merrick Garland nomination goes, I wasn't on board with that. I thank God he did, because I can't imagine if Merrick Garland happens to be a Supreme Court justice. That would be a travesty. Now that we've seen this guy in action, and we see just how corrupt and political he is, and to have such a corrupt Supreme Court justice would be a horrible thing. So I'm glad that he didn't get appointed. But even when that was happening, I thought that was a little bit too big of a window. And what should have happened, they should have stopped it, instead of holding it up. But that wraps up the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Hey, back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. That time. Enjoy your day. It's a little wet out there, but go shopping, Netflix and chill. All right, folks, Joe out. Have a good one.